Welcome in, everybody. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. And I know that you guys enjoy when I wear the dark gray shirt today as a sign of mourning. I don't know what happened to the dark gray shirt. I guess I washed it. So I apologize, but I am in mourning today because the Eagles played a terrible football game last night. And there are a bevy of reasons that the Eagles lost that game last night. There are a lot of reasons. I usually like to give you guys 5 different things that either excited me about the game, made me optimistic about the game. And this, for the most part, this season, there has been 5 things to make me happy about the game, being that the Eagles, had won 8 in a row to start their season before now dropping to 8-1 on the season. And in this particular game, there were 9 things that really pissed me off. And I could stretch it to 10, and you could get there. You could definitely have reason for it. You could have cause for it. But to be venomous about the game, there were 9 things that really pissed me off about the way the Eagles lost this game. And one of them is just the fact that the Washington Commanders actually made plays. They made plays. I give credit where credit's due. With their backup quarterback, something about backup quarterbacks of Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. There's just something about them. They just have to, there's something in the water up here where they just perform really well. But all joking and lightheartedness aside, they did step up. They made plays when they needed to make plays, and the Eagles failed to make those plays. And my big thing, my security blanket going into this game was all about how this team had forced turnovers, and they had not given the football away. And Nick Sirianni took the words right out of my mouth in his post-game press conference, and you'll hear him coming up in a minute right here. Uncharacteristic mistakes. And that is what the Eagles did last night. They made uncharacteristic mistakes. Mistakes that showed they lost focus, they lost ball security, they didn't make good decisions. A sure-handed wide receiver like A.J. Brown didn't come up with a ball that hit him in the hands, and that's a perfect example of losing focus because I believe that 9 times out of 10, he makes that play, and last night he did not make that play. I watched the defense revert back to the old style that we had seen throughout pretty much all of last year, and we saw no aggression from Jonathan Gannon's defense, particularly in that first half, and they allowed the Washington Commander offense to go on 11-play drives, 16-play drives. They allow them to double up on time of possession, 40-19, 40 minutes to 19 minutes. What? I saw bad coaching last night. I saw really everything the Eagles could have done wrong, just about they did wrong. The only thing they didn't do wrong, usually you can look at a loss like this and go, well, Jalen Hurts just didn't have it today. And that wasn't the case. Jalen Hurts had it. Jalen Hurts on that throw to A.J. Brown, drop back, bomb the ball down the field in double coverage. And I thought, maybe this isn't where you throw into double coverage. Threw into double coverage. And I went, that's the mistake. You threw into double coverage. And that's, you can't do that, Jalen. Come on. But, he's also trusted A.J. Brown to come up with those balls before. So, all right, I get it, but still not a good play there by Jalen. And then they show the replay, and they show the angle from in front of A.J. Brown, in front of the 2 defensive backs standing over the top. And sure enough, Jalen Hurts dropped that ball beautifully into the hands of A.J. Brown, who then put it in the chest of Forrest, who, by the way, it was like the reverse of the Justin Jefferson catch. Like Justin Jefferson took it away from the defender's chest in that scenario. And this is a scenario where A.J. Brown put it in the chest of the defensive back in that. And it's an interception. That didn't work out. My ball or nobody's ball. Unfortunately, that play resulted in the other team's ball for A.J. Brown. So there's a number of things we're going to go over in tonight's, today's show about last night's game. Let's just jump into it because you have to protect the football. And I know, and I want people to know this. I'm going to spoil this for you guys. Ready? Refs are at the bottom of this list. Okay. I put refs in at number 9. So anyone that hears me call out the refs for making mistakes in this game, know that that's way down the list for me. And I always thought a loser's mentality was to blame the officiating. Oh, the referees are terrible. That is awful. Sometimes you can look at sports and say, for instance, in baseball. You can always look at the strike zone. If it changes in the 9th inning all of a sudden, you have a right to be pissed at the referee. All right. If you fumble a football when you're getting your face mask ripped off and you're being slammed into the ground head first, I'm going to go and say this. You could be mad at the referees. I'm going to go ahead and say that this isn't a reason that they lost the game. It's not the reason they lost the game. It's not the top 3 reason they lost the game. They lost the game for main reasons being that they just weren't good enough yesterday. And the fact that it was that close for the referees to affect the game is on the Eagles more than it's on the referees. So let's get into this here. The first thing I look at in last night's game, when I look at the top 9 things as to why they lost, here's what I got for you. Turnovers. This is the number one reason they lost. And if you look at the turnovers in this game, for instance, the interception, A.J. Brown had that ball in his hands in it was in the second quarter. The Eagles are already up 14-10. They have an opportunity to just start burying the Commanders in this game yesterday, and A.J. Brown can't come up with that ball. It then flips around to a 16-play, 86-yard touchdown drive by the Washington Commanders. Big swing there. Eagles have an opportunity to at least maybe they go 3 and out after they get a field goal. Maybe they go 3 and out, but at least get a field goal out of that. The Eagles have an opportunity there to go up 17-10. Much better game, after that. And unfortunately, they just didn't come up with the football on that play. So the first interception there, that interception there, the first turnover of the game for the Eagles, then flipped around to a 16-play drive. Again, the defense couldn't get off the field. Speaking of the defense losing this game, I thought was just barely behind the turnovers. That's how bad they played. But to finish on the turnovers, then there was the fumble. CD Deuce gets you the interception back. It's 23-21 at this start of the fourth quarter. CD Deuce gets you the ball back. Dallas Goedert has the fumble where, yes, his face mask is being ripped. Yes, he's being driven into the ground. But somehow, magically, the refs don't see that, and they only see that he was down by contact. Okay. And then it results in a field goal the other way. There was an opportunity there, and you'll hear Nick Sirianni talk about it, where he potentially could have pushed them back a little further. He chose to elect for them to still kick the field goal. This one at 55 yards, to which Sly kicked the field goal and made it to make it 26-21. Then you get the ball back, and you think, all right, there's plenty of time left here. Still got 12:20 left in the game here. All right, you got plenty of time here. And you get the ball back. And again, Jalen Hurts throws a beautiful ball down the field, 50 yards to Quez Watkins, who comes up with it, wasn't touched as he's like going to the ground, catches the football, gets up, promptly fumbles the football. No bueno. Devontae Smith comes in from out of nowhere. He jumps on the ball. It slips out of his grasp, winds up back into Washington's grasp, and then they end up killing some more time with it. But then you had an opportunity there. Instead of having the ball at the about the 22-yard line, it would have been for the Eagles, they then give the ball back to Washington, who then kills some more clock, unfortunately, and you don't have an opportunity to cash in on that with about 5:50 left in the game. The fourth turnover of the game, that was the lateral play that every team plays at the end of a game just to try to get something out of it, and they weren't able to, and it resulted in a touchdown the other way. So it could not have worked out worse, but I really don't look at that as, oh, they lost the game because of that last fumble too. No, the 3 earlier turnovers is what absolutely killed them. So that's number 1, the turnovers. Number 2 in this list here, when talking about why they lost this football game, I go back to last year's game against the Giants at the Meadowlands, where the Eagles had an opportunity to force Daniel Jones into making mistakes. And Daniel Jones is a guy you can force into mistakes, especially last year before Brian Dable was his head coach. And Jonathan Gannon chose to sit back, stick with the sticks defense, not play aggressive, and just wait for Taylor Heinecke to throw interceptions, make mistakes, fumble. They just sit back, relax, and allow that offense to do whatever they wanted to do, because sooner or later they were going to make a mistake. We're not going to allow a big play. Well, here's what happens when you don't allow a big play on a 16-play drive, 11-play drive. Your defense gets kind of gassed, and you continuously allow them to get into third and short situations. And yes, Third down defense, by the way, spoiler, is number 3 on this list. But when you're facing 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 constantly, that offense is going to convert time and time again. So maybe push them back a little bit. Maybe get them on a 2nd and 12 because you forced them back with a sack, because you got a tackle for loss, because, oh my God, maybe because you were playing aggressive. That actually happened. Oh, no, that didn't happen in this game. Did not happen in this game. Jonathan Gannon and his defensive scheme was yet again, let's just wait back and sit back here and wait for them to make the mistake, and then we'll capitalize. And it didn't happen. Instead, it just resulted in these long drives. And all of a sudden Taylor Heinecke is, throwing bombs down the field to Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry, who's making plays for you left and right. 4 of his first 5 catches were for first down conversions on 3rd down. Anybody covering this guy? No, instead you're going to have Darius Slay, one of your best corners, best corner in the league, rating-wise. Sit back and just watch the show. That's atrocious. That's not what got you to this point. What got you to 8-0 is an MVP quarterback playing back there with Jalen Hurts, and yes, still the MVP. Yesterday's not on him. Okay, for anyone that's in the Jalen Hurts is so great at MVP, he lost. Okay, well, first off, they lost 1 game, and Jalen Hurts played great in this game. Watching this defense play yesterday gave me nightmares that they had learned nothing. Josh Sweat creates that turnover the first possession of the game. It results in 7 points for the Eagles, getting that ball back with the sack fumble. Jalen Hurts punches it in for the touchdown. You're up 7-0 before you blink. You're like, all right, let's go. All right, let's make some things happen here. And then after that, there was nothing. You're able to get the ball back and respond, make it 14-17. Jalen Hurts hit Devontae Smith for the touchdown for his birthday. Happy birthday. And it just seemed like the Eagles stalled, absolutely stalled in this game yesterday. And watching this defense was one of the most frustrating things about it. Offensively speaking, I didn't like their game plan either. How do you get, and this moves you down to number 4, how do you only run the ball with a running back twice in the first half of this game? I understand the time of possession was crazy. I understand that around halftime, the Washington football team, the Commanders, whatever, they had ran about 46 plays, and the Eagles had run about 16. That's bonkers, okay? I understand that the balance was off there, but you have Miles Sanders not even touching the ball in that first minute. Then you had Boston Scott. Did Miles Sanders not have his spikes on or something? Was he not ready to go out? Why wasn't Miles Sanders on? Was he late today? Was he caught up in the jackknife traffic that was on the Walt Whitman, or excuse me, the Ben Franklin Bridge that prevented me from getting to Ocean Casino yesterday as early as I like to get there? But whatever. I digress. How do you only hand the ball to a running back twice in that first half? This reminds me of, I want to say it was week 2 or week 3 of last year, with Nick Sirianni handing the ball to a running back only twice in the first half of that game against the Cowboys in Dallas. How does it? And they only had limited possessions in that game as well. But still, how do you not hand the ball to your running backs? Especially like Miles Sanders having a career year, this year at least. He doesn't even get involved in the second half. They had so many opportunities to try to swing this back in their direction, and it felt like more and more they shot themselves in the foot, whether that was bad defense, whether that was turnovers, whether that was guys not coming up with catches, whatever it might have been, bad plays. Well, I do give, and here's my hat tip. There it is. There's my hat tip to Washington, because you did see a guy like Taylor Heinecke make plays, and you did see a guy like Brian Robinson make plays for his, I mean, that last touchdown he had in the game, Fletcher Cox, man, come on. And he's on this list too, by the way. Fletcher Cox can't hold him back. Yeah, was it CD Deuce coming up there trying to keep him out of the goal line as well? And Brian Robinson just extended the ball over there for the touchdown like it was nothing. Man. So close. So close. So I got you there. The turnovers, defense, third down defense, Washington making plays, not running the football. Special teams wasn't great. Didn't do anything special for you. Fletcher Cox, I think, misses Jordan Davis a lot. I know we all miss Jordan Davis being out there and clogging up the middle of that field. And the Texans certainly looked at him and took advantage of not having him on the football field, and were able to run the ball with Pierce time and time again up the middle of the field. And they did the same exact thing in this game, only they did it with a little bit more of a versatile backfield. They were running jet sweeps. They were running end arounds. They ran a lot of motion. They were keeping the defense on their heels a little bit. I give credit to them, but the guy that's supposed to be a difference maker in the middle of that defensive line is Fletcher Cox. And yesterday he was not a difference maker in the positive way. He was a difference maker in the fact that he was a detriment in the middle of that line of scrimmage. That was one of the roughest games to watch Fletcher Cox play as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Fletcher Cox looked every ounce of seasoned veteran and not so much wily veteran making plays for you in the middle of that defensive line. What I'm saying, people, is he looked old yesterday. And again, it catches up to everybody, as we all know, but yesterday was the worst it's been. Yesterday was the worst it's been. And I know you can go back to some bad games he had, and you can talk about scheme with Jonathan Gannon, the fact that he's not paid to go out. He's not paid to stop the run or make tackles. He's paid to get after the quarterback and whatever. You can talk about scheme and how he was used, whatever. That was a game where he was just getting blown off the ball. That was a game where he was on roller skates yesterday. And you can't ever see that from a guy who, A, is a leader on your team, and I acknowledge every ounce of that, and B, is a guy that has played at a Pro Bowl level throughout his career. Yesterday, that did not happen. Those are the reasons the Eagles lost this game yesterday. Those are the reasons they lost this game. The insult to injury was the officiating yesterday. The insult to injury. So if you're just joining, if you're like some Cowboys fan, or maybe you're some Washington fan that just wants to find like pissed off Eagles people, and you're Googling this or going up on YouTube and you're just searching for this, or you're on Twitter hitting things, whatever. Just, okay. The first part of this show for 20 minutes was all about how 20 minutes was all about how the Eagles lost this game because they did not play well enough and the different things they didn't do well to win this game. Number one, turnovers. The officiating was dog crap yesterday. Absolute dog crap yesterday. And there's the arguments made for both sides, but mostly, if the argument is player safety and the drum being banged and banged and banged for the NFL is player safety, the NFL has a problem. A pretty big problem. Because if Taylor Heinecke gets brushed up against by Brandon Graham and Hassan Reddick on a play where Brandon Graham doesn't see what's happening. He's trying to still come off the edge in pursuit of the play. He's still trying to get around a guy, sees the quarterback down, wants to touch him down. Hassan Reddick's still doing the same thing. Now, Hassan Reddick had more of a heads up and straight ahead view of what Heinecke was doing. And he beats his guy, touches him down. Brandon Graham comes in from the other side, tries to touch him down, and then Heinecke falls over when both players are clearly trying to hold up. And that's a flag. I'll say this. I wasn't surprised the flag got thrown. I got a whole slew of text messages from people yesterday about how that was BS and that was a horrible call. And what was that? That's today's NFL. Players, in particularly, and above all, by a pretty huge majority, quarterbacks are going to get those calls. When I saw the play, my first thought was, that's a penalty. That's not that I thought it should be, but if you're asking me what happens right here, if you would have froze it, if you would have paused it right there and said, what happens here with Heineke's head down on the turf while he was laying flat, flailing, he flopped is what he did. He Sidney Crosby flopped is what he did. He World Cup flopped is what he did. If you would have paused it right there and said, what happens here? I was it's going to be a penalty. It shouldn't be, but it's going to be a penalty. That's today's NFL. The NFL has a problem. If that's a penalty, that little pity pat hit, if you even want to call it a hit, where, yeah, damn straight, I think Heinecke embellished. And you know what? Good for him because he knew the rules. But if that's a penalty, and Dallas Goedert's face mask being ripped off and his head being driven into the ground is not a penalty, and if you have to review it to see that he is down by contact or not, and you can't see or reverse the call in that moment, then what are we doing here? I understand that under rule, you can't reverse that because you can't go back and review a face mask. You can't review a head being driven into the ground, whatever you want to say. I understand under rule you can't do that. But if the goal is player safety here, I think that should be reviewed, and maybe that's a conversation for the competition committee at the next NFL owners meetings. The next time we see all the coaches lined up with their for the coaches picture, and we see Andy Reid in a Hawaiian shirt, maybe right after that they should go in and have the conversation about whether or not you should be able to review dangerous plays and whether or not dangerous plays can negate a fumble. Because here's what the NFL said yesterday. It's okay to rip at a player's face mask as long as he fumbles the football. That was a 15-yard face mask penalty yesterday. It was a grab and pull. Head was twisted. You mean to tell me that had nothing to do with the fact that Dallas Goedert couldn't hold on to the football? I don't think so. Because his body is being contorted at the same time, so his head doesn't get ripped off his body. And as he is turning away like this, the ball's become more exposed, and then the ball gets punched loose. For me, I know we talk a lot about rules in the NFL, and I get it. It's one thing to me, like you're trying to review whether or not a ball is a fumble. And this isn't particularly on the play yesterday. This is a ball at the 1 yard line, let's say. They're trying to determine whether or not they fumbled the football or they punched the ball in for the touchdown. So let's imagine a wide receiver catching a football, extending across the plane, and as he is losing possession of the ball, the fumble is negated because he breaks the plane. How is the fumble not negated once you realize that his face is being ripped off? I'm all for player safety above all else, and that was egregious. The fact that they couldn't review it, the fact that it's not reviewable, and I think it's something that the NFL needs to seriously consider if they want to continue to bang the drum about player safety. Because I watched that play and go, well, that ain't good. And then I watched the Heinecke play and I go, really? Really? Of course you're going to see that. That's the quarterback. There was another play about 3 years ago. I remember I can't remember who it was on the return. It might have been Jalen Reagor on the return that he had his face mask completely. He was tackled by the face mask, and the refs didn't make a call. The refs didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. Something, man. Something that needs to be looked at if we're talking about player safety in that regard. Something needs to be looked at. And this isn't just an Eagle problem. This is a league-wide problem. If that's okay, the NFL has a problem. If that's okay, but Heinecke being touched in no way, shape, or form to injury, then that's not okay. But the Dallas Goedert thing is okay, then we got a major problem in the NFL. And don't talk to me ever again about player safety. Ridiculous. Let's hear from the rest of these guys in the locker room, see what they had to say. I got Darius Slay on the attitude. Oh, here's one thing I do want to put out to you, because it goes right along with what we were talking about yesterday with this whole Marvel universe. All right. This is our man, Malcolm Jenkins, tweeting out after the game. Rather interesting thing here. Best thing for the Eagles, no more undefeated talk. And, of course, he tweets out the gif of Thanos. All that for a drop of blood. Goes right in line with what we were talking about yesterday with the Marvel universe there. For me, all of a sudden now we can talk about 17-0 now that it's not attainable. Okay, that's kind of, I don't like that. I don't like that even a little bit. But that's what some of the players wanted to talk about after the game yesterday. We'll get to that. But first, Brandon Graham, he was asked yesterday about if the refs gave him any explanation for why they made the call at the end of that game. And here's Brandon Graham on that late hit, quote unquote.
Do you have any kind of explanation for when they called it?
No, we can't put the refs. We can't put the game in the refs' hands. So in that position, I just got to know. Just if he go down, it's okay. I mean, for me, I was just hustling to the play, just trying to make sure he was down and just trying to get off the field. But
did you see him go down, or were you trying?
I was just trying to touch him down because it just looked like he was gonna get up. You know what I'm saying? But you just never know. But that's on me.
I appreciate that Brandon Graham says that's on him, and it is. I mean, he's got to have better awareness. He's trying to make the play. I don't know what Brandon exactly thought. He said he thought he was going to get up. Maybe he thought he slipped. Maybe he thought he wasn't just downing himself. Whatever happened, a better play has to be made. He knows he's by far enough of a veteran player, as is Hassan Reddick, that you just got to touch the guy, and that's it. Brandon Graham knows in that situation, you got to be a little bit more heads up and understand what's going on. I don't think he had the opportunity to do that, given the fact that he was in pursuit. Like, I don't know if that's another rule change that needs to be discussed. Like, once the quarterback's out of the pocket in a situation like that behind the line of scrimmage, guys are still coming full steam. Like, that's the unrealistic expectation I think the NFL has of defensive players in general, not just the Eagles, but in general. It's that a lot of times these guys, I mean, they're still they got two jobs. They got to beat the guy in front of them, and they got to get to the quarterback. And sometimes they don't see what the quarterback is doing because they're trying to beat the guy in front of them. People talk about, officiating is hard. I love that line, and Nick Sirianni certainly mentioned it once or twice. Officiating's hard. Yeah, you know what else is hard? Playing football. Playing football is hard, especially when you continue to make rules at the detriment of the defense. Turnovers is why the Eagles lost this game, and they didn't play well enough. That's the number one reason they lost. The two things right there: defense overall, how they play, blah, blah, blah. So why they lost. Officiating pissed me off, though. Here's Darius Slay on Slay himself on No More 17-0 talk.
I won't stand when people are saying 17-0 because, like I said, it's the NFL. It's like a lot, it's a lot of teams, and that's a talented team, man. Anything can happen. These are grown men playing a professional game, so anything can possibly happen at any given time. But I'm glad it happened right now. Instead of the one we really need. But shoot, yeah, I ain't care about no 17. I was just trying to go win the game. That's all I be thinking about. Trying to be the best on the field that I possibly can. Do everything I can help the team win. So yeah.
Here's my response to Darius Slay on that. Here's my response to Slay. You're trying to play the best you can on the field. You're trying to be the best player you can on the field. Your coach did not help you be the best player on the field last night. Not even a little bit. As many times as I saw him line up off the line of scrimmage, as many times as I saw Terry McLaurin make plays with him in coverage, as many times as I saw that yesterday, I thought, let Darius Slay play a little, let's let him play up a little bit. Let's see him, jam at the line of scrimmage. Let's see him play physical. He's good at doing that. I know a lot of people think, he's a finesse guy. He can play physical football. You're not one of the best corners in the league. People don't look your direction because you can't play physical. No, he can play physical. He can play finesse. He can play physical. That's why he's so damn good. And I thought last night they played way too finesse, way too passive. And in that situation, when you're waiting for the mistake instead of forcing the mistake, you can get burned. And that's what happened time and time again yesterday, especially on third down, especially with Terry McLaurin. You heard from Brandon Graham. Now let's hear from Nick Sirianni as to what went wrong yesterday, especially on that last call. Here is Nick Sirianni on the Brandon Graham call.
Hey, that's not what lost us the football game. So I'd have to watch it on tape again. I saw it live. I kind of looked down the field. But they got a tough job, and I'll look at it, and but that's not at all what lost us the football game. Yeah, shoot. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? The 3 turnovers lost us the game. The time of possession loses you the game. We lost it together. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching. We lost it together. That's what lost us the game.
Oh, there's a lot on my list right there. All right, special teams, offense, defense, coaching, everything lost the game. All right, he's calling out everything. Let's keep adding to the list because he got asked again by Sal Palantonio, I believe it was, about how they did lose this game exactly. Because I hate this cliche, and I think Nick Sirianni does as well. But if you're asking about cliches or you're asking about things that piss you off, you can talk about referees, fine, and we did. We covered it. But I felt like the Eagles gave this game away in a lot of instances. Now, I give credit to Washington. They certainly made plays. I said it a million times already. But I said this before, there's always that one game that you just can't do anything right. For whatever reason. You think you have the storm calmed. You throw the ball down the middle of the field to your best wide receiver, your most reliable wide receiver in double coverage. It hits him in his hands, and he politely delivers the football like a British butler telling you it's tea time, and puts it in your hands, gives it away. Quez Watkins catches the ball for 50 yards down the middle of the field, beats coverage. He takes the top off the defense. He goes down to the ground, doesn't get touched, he gets up, fumble. Dallas Goedert gets his face ripped off, fumbles the football, gives the ball away, and it results in another 3 points, and the ref somehow missed that. And in that, you compound it by not accepting the penalty and having them kick a 55-yard field goal. Like, I don't really blame Nick Sirianni really all that much. I know some people do. I don't blame him for a couple of reasons. One, you didn't capitalize it. You didn't capitalize on it anyway. Two, they were making plays all day on your defense anyway. So you're going to trust your defense all of a sudden to make you a play? I don't think so. Here's Nick Sirianni on what lost them that game.
Yeah, I give them a lot of credit. I think that's a good football team. I have a lot of respect for Coach Rivera, and so I don't ever like to say, we lost it. They played and they played well, but we know that we made mistakes, right? We made uncharacteristic mistakes, and it's a both and. Like, you're not pleased with, I'll give them all the credit, but know that we didn't play our type of game. We made mistakes. We had penalties. We had uncharacteristic fumbles. We threw an interception. We didn't do a good enough job. There's some things back that we want as calls, and I didn't do a good enough job coaching this week, and so. You feel upset because you lost the game and you made a lot of mistakes. We made a ton of mistakes, and that loses your football games in this league. You turn the ball over like that loses your football games in this league.
You made a lot of mistakes, and some of the calls were freakish. Do you focus on that, or in the bigger picture you say, you know what, we're 8-1. This is one blip.
I think whether the calls were bad or whether the calls were good or whatever it was, I think when you play the way we did tonight, when you play the way we did on all three phases, offense, defense, special teams, coaching, right? When you play like that, it does seem like it seems like everything's going against you. You create your own luck, and we played like crap.
You did. And as I'm watching this game and the turnovers are happening, or you're not running the football, or you're allowing the third down conversions, and you're allowing so many third and shorts, it just felt like time and time again, Washington was going to come up with the play, and you weren't. I was watching some of the highlights before the show today, this morning, and I thought I was watching Scott Van Pelt, big Scott Van Pelt guy, ball community, solidarity. And he described it as a business trip. He said Washington was on a business trip for this. And my biggest admiration of this Eagles team, my biggest compliment that I've given them all year, the thing that I praise the most and celebrate the most, is their focus throughout this entire year. Their focus has been tremendous. And I actually thought, you know what? They're probably not going to go undefeated, but there's a chance. There's a chance. Two reasons. One, they're playing great. The other, they're a really talented football team. But right there, number three, is the fact that they have the leadership on this team to maintain laser focus. And the more I watch sports and the older I get, I used to think it was always about talent and being the better team and all that stuff. And I think we're too quick to dismiss a lot of times chemistry. And people want to talk about chemistry and they say it's overrated. They want to talk about focus. Talent doesn't always beat the less talented. That's unfortunate, but it's true. And yesterday, I thought and still think the Eagles are the far more and superior team to the Washington Commanders. And by some act of God, I hope they see them in the playoffs, because the only way they'll face them again this year, the Eagles will win that game. Now, I was pretty confident going into this game yesterday that they're going to win the game. I didn't think the game was going to be this one, jumping up and biting them in the ass, but that's exactly what happened. The Eagles got outplayed yesterday. The Eagles certainly got outcoached yesterday. And the Eagles made mistakes in this game, as Nick Sirianni just said, that they don't usually make. In a divisional game, One of the things that I enjoyed about going into this game was the fact that the Washington Commanders give the ball away and they don't take the ball away. The Eagles take the ball away and they don't give the ball away. So that was two huge positives in the turnover battle for the Eagles. And then what happened? They went out there yesterday and they got more turnovers. They gave the ball away more times in this one game than they did the entire season combined. You ain't going to win that game. And sometimes somebody saying it's an uncharacteristic mistake of the team will result in me giving the most epic of eye rolls. But he's accurate. The Eagles don't normally give the football away. They take the football away. Defense has played passive in the past with Jonathan Gannon. This year, it's been a little bit different. It's been a lot different, actually. Feels like your blitz percentage is up. Feels like your defensive line has been getting home more and more times this season. But something happened yesterday where they just weren't getting it done. And really what it resulted in was the Washington Commanders sticking with the run. They only had Brian Robinson only had 86 yards rushing on 26 carries yesterday. Like, that ain't great, people. By no means is that great. But they stuck to it. They kept it coming. 3.3 yards per carry is what they were getting with Brian Robinson. And they stuck with it throughout the game. And why'd they do that? Because, and it's a compliment in a way to Jalen Hurts, they wanted to keep him off the football field. They wanted to make sure the Eagles' offense, as potent as it has been this season, one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL, they wanted to make sure they weren't on the field. And the defense failed the Eagles above all. Nick Sirianni not giving the ball to running backs. Shane Steichen not giving the ball to running backs. You can talk about RPOs to your blue in the face. I don't give a damn. Maybe take away the option part of it and just have a run. Well, the RPO is where we try to build a run, and then if it doesn't look right, we pass. Well, then how about not having the O at the end of that? Run, pass, option. Do one or the other. How about you call the play? Huh? How about that? Hold on. Wait for it. How about you call the play to run? How about you go, hey, Miles Sanders having a great year behind this great offensive line. You take this ball and run up the middle. Here you go. Oh, and then you know what else is happening? Not only are you probably getting yards there, because Miles Sanders last night was at 4.5 yards per carry. Maybe you know what happens there aside from gaining yards, you know, it was a positive. Your defense isn't on the field for like an hour and a half at a time. Slight exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying. By the way, let me correct one thing. I think I had one thing off chronologically speaking. The Dallas Goedert, the jump touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert was the second score of the game, not the Devontae Smith one. Scoozy. So that's what I got for you there. Here's the last thing, and this has to do with Nick Sirianni talking about electing to decline the penalty and have the Washington Commanders attempt a 55-yard field goal that put them up 26-21, as well as ball security in this game yesterday.
There's a long stoppage.
I didn't. We got to have better ball security there. We take a lot of pride in how we protect the football. We were obviously loose with it. That's how they got it out, and defense did a nice job of stopping them right there. So that we held them to 3. Looking at my decision on that, I thought. I know he made the one at the end of the first half. I didn't think that was easy for him, thinking about the line of where, he kicked it from and where the ball was right there. Obviously, second thought, then, he made it. So I should have accepted it. He misses it, then, that's the way it goes. So I had to be convicted with a decision. I was, and he made it. But as far as, whether it was a face mask or whether there wasn't a face mask, it's hard for them to see at that time. I get it. We got to protect the ball better, and we didn't do a good job of that all game. Like, we were loose with that football, and it came out, and they got it.
I got a text from a cousin of mine. What's up, Michael? I got a cousin, Michael, and Eagles fan, and he said basically, what the hell was that at the Watkins fumble? And I'm telling you, folks, I'm watching that, and I'm not a yeller and a screamer when I'm watching sports. Sociopath. I will term myself as a sociopath. I don't really have emotion while I watch. It's hard to have emotion these days when I have a notepad. That takes a lot of the way of the sting. And that's the way it's been for the 15 years I've been getting paid to watch sports. Jesus, 16 years now. So it's been a minute. But during that Quez Watkins play, I yelled at my TV louder than I may have ever yelled at my TV. And it was for a variety of reasons. One, because I thought it was the final, not the final blow because they still needed to score, but I thought it was like the final big play the Eagles needed, because every single game throughout the season, they have found that big play. No matter how bad they've played at certain points of the game, they have come back and found a way to win the game, like good teams should do, right? And I've said it many times. Yes, absolutely. And you see Jalen Hurts drop back, survey the field, bob the football down the field. Hits Quez Watkins. He goes down with it. And I'm thinking, this is awesome. Great play. And then he gets up, and I'm like, and I didn't think he was touched. And I yell again at the TV, get up and run. He gets up and runs, fumbles. No. I know it's hard to imagine me not being a yeller and screamer, being that on this show I am, because this is probably the truest version of myself. But watching that play unfold the way it did definitely brought the emotions out. I will say, on like a big play, normally my reaction is like one of these. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's like one of those. It's like a fist in the air. It's like a quick clap and a hell yeah. That's it. And then it's right back to nerd writing notes. Anyway. Let me tell you about Manscaped. Manscaped, the leader in below the waist grooming. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. That's right, Manscaped, manscaped.com. Over 4 million men worldwide trust Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off your order, especially the Platinum Package 4.0. That includes the lawn mower. It's incredible. And it also includes the lawnmower trimmer. It's incredible. It also includes the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And they both come with skin safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks, so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. Go to manscaped.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. If you like CBD, if you want to use CBD, try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com, where you, ladies and gentlemen, could enjoy CBD at 20% off when you use promo code Farzy. Like their insane tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart topping 24.1%, and their super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So enjoy Freestone Farm CBD and 20% off with promo code Farzy. How about Mojo? Download the Mojo app to your phone right now. Available in New Jersey on iOS. Each player has a share price attached to them. Each player is a stock, and there's over 300 skilled positions in the NFL for you to choose from quarterbacks to running backs to wide receivers to tight ends. It's all available on Mojo. Must be in New Jersey. Buy low, sell high on a player's stock. Make yourself some money with the Mojo app. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. How about the amazing people at Steven Singer Jewelers? Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's see what you guys have to say in the chat check. See how you guys are doing. Let's see here. Kevin, good morning. Sean, good morning. April, good morning. Sloppy ball handling, not taking the Commanders seriously, bad preparation. Sean Gillespie. Sean, I agree on all counts. I heard some people talking about the whole rust issue last night's game. You know, the rusty playing 2 games in 28 days. Yeah, not ideal for finding a rhythm. But the Eagles won 8 games in a row after being off for 6 months. So I'm going to go ahead and not go with the rust on this one. But just overall sloppy. Make them extra sloppy for you. Random Anton. What's up, Random? Sup, ladies and gents? Random. Hello. Random. You win the turnover battle. You convert third downs. Good chance of winning. Here's one thing I did hear, and going back and forth from Jacob post-game to NBC Sports post game, and I agree with this. And Michael Barkhead made the point. And I had to start going through the game, and the thought was, if you do one of those things, if you take away the turnover problem, like take away really one turnover from the Eagles, you probably win this game. Whether it's the pick your poison, whether it's the A.J. Brown interception, or I call it the A.J. Brown interception, but you know what I mean, or it's the Watkins fumble. Take away either of those plays, and you probably win this game. Now, as karma might have it, or fate might have it, maybe you're just supposed to lose. No matter what you did, you're supposed to lose this game. You take away the third down efficiency of the Commanders in the first half, and you probably win this game, even if you split it. As opposed to, what were they, like 5 for 6 initially? 4 of the 5 catches by Terry McLaurin were for first downs in the first half. Yeah, it sucks. Take away any of those big problems. I don't know, run the ball more with your running backs. Maybe you win this football game. You probably win this. You'll win this football game. Self-inflicted wounds. But yeah, Random, I agree with you. The run defense and turnovers killed us. I concur. April, I could not believe how much they turned the ball over. It was insane. Jalen was throwing into double coverage. Balls were being dropped left and right. They completely looked past this game. It certainly felt like it. It did not. Again, I praise this team for their ball security, and I think that's a result of their focus. And this game, they did not look focused. Jalen Hurts is even further down the list than the refs in the blame game. Random Anton, I agree with that. That's a good one. If there's anything I blame less than the refs, it's Jalen Hurts. That's a good way to put that. There we go. I'll put him number 10. There we go. He'll round it out at number. No, he doesn't even deserve to be on the list or mentioned in a negative light. And look, I am the furthest thing from a quarterback coddler. I remember calling out Carson Wentz before it was cool. Talking about him throwing behind Mac Collins in the end zone. People were like, how do you blame Carson? And I'm like, well, he's the quarterback and he was missing guys in the end zone. You can't do that. Oh, Carson's great. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 is my impression of what people sound like when they're making unjustified arguments to me. Anyway. Turnovers run. Yeah, everything sucked. It was terrible. Random Anton. Not that random. You're on point, my friend. April. Gannon seemed like he was confused, almost like he had planned to play Wentz. You're not wrong. T-Bro. Hungry dogs run fast, but the problem with the Eagles were the fat house cat. While the Commanders were Commandos, that's funny. Were the dogs last night? Yeah, it's pretty much true. It did feel like yelling at a cat. Not that you should yell at cats. My wife has 2 cats. I don't. My wife has 2 cats. And they're slowly killing me because they give me asthma. Anyway, it's like telling a cat to like get off the couch and they just look at you like, this is my house, Kimasabi. I'm sorry, what? That was like yelling at the TV last night about Jonathan Gannon being aggressive. Like, Jonathan, go after him! And he just looks at you. That was my impression of a cat doing an impression of Jonathan Gannon. Thank you. It's not up there with my walking, folks, but you get what I'm saying. Ray Fitzgerald, what's up, Ray? Eagles did get out-coached both sides of the ball. They made it. They made a lot of adjustments from the last. Oh, the Commanders made a lot of adjustments from the last time they played the Eagles. Then the Eagles didn't adjust well. I concur. Blue City Empire Sports. What do you have to say with your weird fan allegiances? Now, Eagles fans, don't make excuses like the Cowboys did when they lost to the Packers, which we all know Aaron Rodgers owned them. You told the Cowboys, do not blame the refs. You're doing it too. I am not blaming the refs. I have said throughout this morning, here you go, nerds. Here you go, fellow nerds. See this portion down here? Here's my list of things to blame. Okay, it's a list. Boop, boop, bop, boop, boop, boop. And down here is the refs. Down there. All right, you know what? I'm even going to put it all the way at the bottom. I'm going to go Fletcher Cox above the refs. How's that grab you? Mihai, what's up, Mihai? Morning, everyone. Defense was shredded. Concur. Too many fumbles. Third down conversions are like 2 out base hits. Ooh. Yeah. Little 2 out lightning. Random, you're with me. Uncharacteristic, just like that Giants game. Whoa. Blue City Empire Sport. How are we making excuses by blaming our own guy? That's not an excuse. That's calling out a reason you lost. An excuse is blaming the refs, which is what we're not doing. You can acknowledge bad calls by the referees. You can acknowledge it without pointing to it as the reason you lost. And that's what I am doing, because I believe blaming the refs is weak sauce. Brandon Graham said it best, and he's not the first person to say it. He's not going to be the last person to say it. Don't put the game in the hands of the officials, whether they're umpires, officials, referees, whatever. Don't put the game in their hands. Be good enough where they can't affect the outcome of the game. Or at least one crucial call won't affect the outcome of the game. What else do we have here? Clay. Okay, you didn't watch the game. Clay said he could threaten to be the jinx on this team or with us because he hasn't watched the game. He did not watch. They still lost. So Clay, welcome back to the party. Did the bots come to party? Were the bots down to clown in the chat? Were they down to chat? Little consolation nookie, to use a word from my generation. Nookie. Anyway, don't feed the troll. Can you do an impression of Christopher Walken as a cafeteria lady serving sloppy joes? Do we need it today? After a horrible loss? James Heenan. What's up, James? The game was lost in the first half. What happened to our running game in the first half? Thank you. I believe they ran the ball 3 times. They ran the ball maybe a total of 3 times, but it was twice with a running back. Jay, thank you. Jay Piars. The game should have ran the ball, tried to show off Sanders more in the first half. I agree. Sean Gillespie likes consolation nookie. Hey, folks, any nookie is good nookie, okay? Any nookie is good nookie. Consolation nookie, I don't care how you preface it, it's still nookie. You know what I'm saying? I made the sloppy joes extra sloppy. Enjoy. Anyway. There you go. Felt like we needed it today, random. Speaking of random, Anton, that's random. The Billy Madison reference with a Christopher Walken impression. Anyway, thanks for Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. It'll take me a minute to get over this one. That's what I got for you. All right, folks, have a wonderful rest of your day. Catch more of me on Fox 29. I'll be back on Fox 29 today to eat my words about the Eagles winning 27-13. Did not happen. They did not win the turnover battle. So I look forward to a big old plate of crow. Jim Hyder produced the program, did a wonderful job. As per usual. Random, you're welcome. Good job by him. Good job by everyone. Thanks a lot. Be with you guys tomorrow. Talk more about this friggin' loss. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Walking lunch lady. Anyway, that's enough. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Be back with you guys tomorrow. See ya.